How could you not?
I'd like to call the Midland County Board of Commissioners meeting to order at 9 a.m. December 18th, 2018. And would you call roll, please?
Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Glazer.
Here.
Terwilliger.
Here.
Geisler.
Here.
Dorian.
Here.
Nosen.
Here.
Chairman Bone.
Here.
7 present, 0 absent.
Now I'd like to ask Commissioner Glazer to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Dear Lord, we give thanks for this opportunity to come together to serve you in our duty here as commissioners. We give thanks for your gift of abundance and liberty in our land. We just pray in this time of Advent and Christmas that you would bestow peace upon us and guide us in our deliberations this morning. In Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for December 4th and December 11th of 2018.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, we will approve the minutes for December 4th and December 11th of 2018 and move on to the acceptance of the bills.
Properly addressed general bank claims for the week of 11/19 through 11/23, $298,373.94, with total general fund expenditures of $83,021.31. General bank claims for the week of 11/26 through 11/30, $318,802.01. Total general fund expenditures, $110,673.41.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we pay the bills.
Support. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Okay, we will pay the bills. And next on the agenda is the appointment to the Road Commission. There's been some questions come up as far as eligibility on some of the applicants, and we want to do a little bit more research on that. So we are going to take that item up January 16th of 2019. So if anybody came for Road Commission, I apologize that you made unneeded trip, but we will take that matter of business up January 16th. We now move on to a public hearing on the Midland County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Is there any public comment on that? I'll ask public comment one more time. And going a third time, no public comment. So we will move on to our special program of the day, and we have Jennifer Boyer here. So thank you, Jennifer.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, it was just 6 months ago that I was here presenting this, that we were kicking off our review of the plan. So we have now a final draft, which has already been submitted to the state and approved by the state, and currently is being reviewed by FEMA. One of the requirements of the plan is to have a public hearing at the beginning of the review and also at the end of the review. So that brings me here today. So the purpose of the plan is not to only identify our hazards, but also to identify actions that we can take as a community to either eliminate or reduce the impact of the hazards to our community. FEMA requires every community to have a hazard mitigation plan in order to be eligible for pre- and post-disaster grant funds. And currently here in our community, we've had, these funds have been utilized in the city of Flint in the past for removing homes from the floodplain. Most recently, the Sanford Senior Center was used, these funds were used to remove that, relocate that, which came timely with our 17 flooding and how that was heavily impacted. We also have currently some applications in from the Road Commission, Village of Sanford, and also the city have sent in information to the state that they intend to apply for funds for current funding opportunities that are available now. So it's something that's ongoing. So this is kind of our process. It was formally kicked off in June. Any presentations were done. I was able to present to the Midland Township Association a few times to keep them involved. Also, we had a hazard mitigation committee that met almost monthly to go through the different areas of the plan and review them. Some of the new items that were added to the plan was some data and also some mapping to help better communicate the hazards and the impact of the hazards. So this is kind of some data charts that we have for severe weather events and tornado events that kind of so people can really get an idea of how often some of these things happen and potentially some of the damages that were caused. This here is an updated map of the floodplain across the community, so you can kind of really see all the different jurisdictions that are impacted. And just a lot of the mapping were done because we've come a long way with GIS in the last 5 years or so. So pictures always are easier sometimes to communicate information than just raw data. These here are, so the new part of this plan is each jurisdiction had to kind of do their own hazard identification and then also put together some of their own local strategies and actions on how they're going to mitigate at a local level those hazards. So some new maps were made, and so we kind of created some maps that showed specific hazards that we could map. Not all hazards can be mapped. So this here is an example of the map for Jerome Township. The green area is all state-owned land, so it shows its wildfire potential in that area. It also has the purple on there, also shows the potential impact for dam failure for Edenville Dam. The orange is the potential impact for dam failure for Sanford Dam. And also there's some flooding in there too. The red lines that go across there, those are actually pipelines underground that have hazardous materials. So these really give great pictures to some of the hazards that are in our communities. And each township and local jurisdiction are very different as you go across the county. So these were great, great to use to really see what those hazards are, because not all of them you can see. This is the village of Sanford, so this really shows their impact for flooding and dam failure within the village of Sanford. So that's why they've been pretty good about applying for hazard mitigation funds to try to lessen that flood impact in their community. So by the end of November, I had met with almost all the jurisdictions, pulled all the data together, and started compiling that in an organized manner within the plan. We had great participation across the community. This plan wasn't put together in a vacuum. Had many opportunities to present to different community groups, sent out emails. We also did a public survey, which we got 250 responses on, which is phenomenal for this type of a plan to hear on that. I went through all of the comments and stuff, and there was nothing really different than what was already identified in the plan. The only thing I'd say is there are some comments about school shootings and those types of things, which don't really fall in the plan, because that's not considered terrorism, the way the terrorism is defined in the plan. That's considered criminal acts, which is different. It's just similar as robbery and all those other things. So it's something that some people have a hard time understanding. There's a difference there. So it's really important to understand the definition of the different hazards. So after all of the information was gathered and we did a assessment of all of them, the only thing that kind of changed with terrorism and pipeline accidents kind of flip-flopped a little bit. And I think this is more just because in the last 4 or 5 years, terrorism locally and abroad has become a lot different as far as it impacts. They're using different methods, whether it's running over groups of people or those types of things. So, and then also because of social media and the impacts in the community, it's one of those that has a larger impact within the community than it probably has in the past. So these were some of the existing goals that were in the plan already. Upon reviewing of these, we felt that they covered everything really well, and we still have a lot of work in meeting those goals. So we didn't add a new goal, but we did add a new objective under goal number 4. This plan is a standalone plan, but the whole purpose of it is to be implemented across the jurisdictions and other plans, mainly master plans, and how they're going to develop their communities or change their communities in the future. So this is one of the objectives that I'd like to work on in the next couple of years, local jurisdictions as master plans are updated at the local level, them working in some of these mitigation strategies into those plans so that it's a goal as communities change, that they're keeping these things in mind as well. So they're creating safer communities. This is a representation of the Hazard Mitigation Committee. As you can see, it's a large cross-section across the community and different experts that bring different various perspectives. And then going forward is the adoption of the plan. As soon as we get an approval from FEMA, we'll get a conditional approval from FEMA, then the plan will be sent out for everyone to adopt. Communities have to adopt in order for it to be eligible for the plan, for funds.
Does that have to be done by jurisdiction?
Yep,
Like
each
townships?
jurisdiction, yep.
Okay.
So once I get the conditional approval from FEMA, then I'll send letters and copies of sample resolutions out to them to let them know that they can now adopt it. And then those resolutions come to me and I have to forward them to FEMA. And then, so that FEMA can keep track of what jurisdictions are eligible for funding and not. And they also get tracked to the state as well. So I believe the last, the 2013 plan, all but one jurisdiction actually adopted. So I'm hoping that this time around we can have 100% adoption. Also, once the plan is done, that's part of the beginning. There's still work going on, so there's requirements to do annual reports, review, and we'll probably be having to bring together the Hazard Mitigation Committee together like once a year to kind of keep this on the forefront and on the dashboard for local communities, so it's just not put on the shelf and forgot about and we update it. Because one of the things that FEMA is emphasizing is we have to explain what progress has been made between each of the reviews and updates. If no progress is made, we have to explain to them why no progress was made. If there's a lack of resources, a lack of funding, or whatever else. So going forward with all these disasters that are happening nationally, I can see FEMA trying kind of changing the rules of the game a little bit, where if you're not making progress in your plan, you might not be eligible for funding or those types of things. So we're trying to get in front of that 8 ball. So there's my contact information if anybody has any questions. The plan is posted online for the public to review, accepting comments and through the end of, until December 31st. And then once it's finalized, we can post it. But it's one of those things too, as if we get comments afterwards, I can save them for our next update and they can be part of the next update. So it is kind of a living plan a little bit, where it's something that needs to be reviewed annually and then notes and stuff. So then when it's time to actually do a whole update, we have all that information already together.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, just a quick question on your rankings of the various hazards. I'm trying to remember, because I think we went through this before. That's a combination of severity and likelihood, isn't it?
Yep, it's likelihood, severity, impacts to the community, and also economic impact. So there's 5 different variables, and they're all ranked, and they're all given a percentage of value. But they're not all equally weighted.
Is that all in the report?
Yep, it's all in the plan. It
Great.
shows actually the percentages, the calculations, and everything that was done.
Thank you.
Commissioner Glazer?
Yes. The approval process. So we're in review right now.
Right.
You will, can you outline that? Because you do mention the jurisdictions. So I've got 5 townships. So I want to make sure that I'm out letting them know that where you are in this work and to anticipate it, because I know they've been working with you. So.
Right. So right now, we're in a position where the state has signed off on the plan that, according to their understanding of the requirements, we have met all the requirements.
Okay.
And now it was submitted to FEMA December 5th.
Okay.
I heard from FEMA yesterday that they hope to get their review back to me by the end of this week. So depending on what that review comes back, depends on whether it's conditionally approved and we're good to go, or if they might need some extra details, or in their perspective, we need to provide some extra.
So very
guidance.
close.
So we're very close to the end.
All right.
So once I get the conditional approval from FEMA, then that's the point where I will communicate out to the local jurisdictions as well as the county that the plan's been approved by FEMA. And the only way to get it to go from a conditional approval to a full approval is when they adopt the plan.
Okay.
So I will be presenting both to the city and to the county for that formal adoption through our process in January. I have it on the calendar, so I'm hoping that before then we get that conditional approval from FEMA. And then once that is, I'll communicate out to the jurisdictions that at their next board meeting to please adopt this, so that there's not a big
So that would
gap.
be sometime in February for them.
Yep, January,
If
February.
the
February.
timing that you're outlining right now
Yep.
does in fact come to pass. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. That's
So
good.
the big
So-
2 are the city and the county because of the
Sure.
size of their jurisdictions.
Okay.
But they have a little bit of time. And then also I'll let them know if they having questions or would like me to be there, I'll try to be there to explain to them if they have any questions.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
Thank you, Jennifer.
thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I'd like to move on to public comment. So I'd like to open it up to public comment for anything that is not on today's agenda. Is there any public comment today? Seeing none, we will move on to standing committee reports. Ann, would you read committee report number 1, please?
Dated December 18th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance and Administration and Operations Committee, recommend approval of the grant from the Michigan Supreme Court Administrative Office in the amount of $145,000 to support the drug court program. The Administrator Controller is authorized to make all necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Nosen, Eric Dorian, Administration Operations Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 134-12-18.
Commissioner Dorian. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Geisler.
The A&O Committee recommends the adoption of Agenda Item 134-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, do we have any commissioner discussion? Ann, call roll, please.
Commissioner Nosen?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes,
Glazer?
Yes.
Terwilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 2, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Administration Operations Committee, recommend the appointments of Jeremy Rosenbrock, Tim Lanpham, and Roger Mahoney to the Midland County Peer Review Committee per the request of Chris Cantrell, Grant Administrator for the Survey and Remonumentation Program. The term of these appointments is from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2020. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Nosen, Eric Dorian, Administration Operations Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 135-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? Ann, call roll, please.
Commissioner Snyder?
yes,
Glazer?
Yes.
Terwilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Nosen?
Yes.
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 3, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Finance Committee, recommend to pledge the full faith and credit of the County of Midland for the payment of the principal and interest on the NAP Cutoff Drain Bond Series 2019 in the event that property owners within the drainage district shall fail to provide payment for the special assessment, installment, and interest. The bond issuance is an amount of up to $1,450,000 to finance a drainage project on the Knapp Cutoff Drain. The bonds are to be repaid over a 20-year period. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 127-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? Ann, call roll, please.
Commissioner Glazer?
Yes.
Terwilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Nosen?
Yes.
Snyder?
yes,
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 4, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of Policy 301.15, policy regarding grant award expenditure and revenues to comply with federal grant guidelines under 2 CFR Section 200. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 128-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Commissioner discussion? Ann, call roll, please.
Commissioner Twilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Nosen?
Yes.
Snyder?
yes,
Glazer?
Yes.
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 5, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of an advance from the General Fund to the Courthouse Construction Fund 410 in the amount of $1,800,000. Local foundations were the primary source of funding for this construction project, whose funding schedule extends into 2019. Once the final monies from the foundations is collected, they will be used to pay back the advance from the general fund. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 132-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Nosen,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no. Motion carries.
Committee report number 6, please.
Just a second, my computer is froze. Hang on 1 second.
I can give you this if you want.
Okay, dated December 18th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the attached list of amendments to the 2018 county budget for known variances. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 133-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Dorian?
Yes.
Nosen?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
Glazer?
Yes.
Terwilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no. Motion carries.
Committee report number 7, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend the request to levy 0.4000 mills as authorized by the voters of Midland County to provide school resource officers in the Midland Public, Meridian, Bullet Creek, and Coleman school districts. We further recommend approval of the budget for this program for the fiscal year 2019. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 136-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? Commissioner Snyder.
I did just want to make mention that in the beginning of this process, of course, I was opposed to new millages and tax increases. But now that the voters, the majority of them approved it, of course, I'm going to comply with the formalities of putting everything through as per what the voters wanted in their taxes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Nosen.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer.
Yes.
Terwilliger.
Yes.
Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no. Motion carries.
Committee report number 8, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance and Human Services Committees, recommend the addition of 3 1.0 FTE school resource officer positions in the Sheriff's Office and approve the associated job description. These positions will be effective January 1st, 2019. The Administrator Controller is authorized to make all necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee, Eric Dorian, Chairperson, Steve Glazer, Gay Twilliger, Human Services Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 129-12-18.
I'm going to get it right this time. Commissioner Dorian.
Mr. Chairman, the Human Services Committee also recommends adoption of Agenda Item 129-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer.
Yes.
Twilliger.
Yes.
Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Nosen.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no. Motion carries.
Committee report number 9, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance and Human Services Committee, recommend the addition of 1.72 grade 4 Veterans Counselor position in the Veterans Office and approve the associated job description. This position is being funded with grant monies and is effective October 1st, 2018. The Administrator Controller is authorized to make all necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee, Eric Dorian, Chairperson, Steve Glazer, Gay Twilliger, Human Services Committee.
Commissioner Nosen.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 130-12-18.
Commissioner Dorian.
Mr. Chairman, the Human Services Committee also recommends adoption of agenda item 130-12-18.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? Commissioner Glazer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I just want to remind everyone that this position is funded by a grant, and it is contingent on, the ongoing retention of this position will be dependent on renewal of that grant, okay? That's the whole premise of this. So I just wanted to have a little refresher there. Thank you.
Fair enough, fair enough. Any other commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Glazer.
Yes.
Terwilliger.
Yes.
Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Noson.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 10, please.
Dated December 18th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Human Services Committee, recommend the approval of revised policy 402.2, annual leave, and the elimination of policies 402.3, annual leave, regular part-time, and 403.5, personal leave days. This revised policy is applicable to both regular full-time and regular part-time non-bargain for employees. This action eliminates personal leave days and adds 3 days to each level of the annual leave schedule for non-bargain employees. This revised policy will go into effect January 1st, 2019. Respectfully submitted, Eric Dorian, Chairperson, Steve Glazer, Gay Twilliger, Human Services Committee.
Commissioner Dorian.
Mr. Chairman, the Human Services Committee recommends adoption of agenda item 131-12-18.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Twilliger.
Yes.
Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Noson.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Okay, that's it for our standing committee reports. We do not have any RPCs today. I do believe we have 2 items of old business. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Could you read the first item, please, Ann?
Dated December 14th, properly addressed. This is regarding the dissolution of the Courthouse Construction Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, in July 2016, the board appointed a Courthouse Construction Committee with the charge of overseeing the courthouse construction project from start to completion. At its meeting on November 1st, 2018, the Construction Committee approving paying the final bill on the project and voted to request dissolution per approval of the Board of Commissioners. The minutes of the final meeting are attached. Thus, I am requesting the board dissolve the Courthouse Construction Committee as its charge has been completed, effective November 1st, 2018. Respectfully submitted, Bridget Granston, Administrator Controller.
So Bridget signed that. Bill, do I need what do I need on this?
Do you need a recommendation to approve?
Recommendation, would somebody like to make
So
that?
moved.
Do we have support? Support. Okay, we'll just do a voice vote on this. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, we will dissolve the Courthouse Construction Committee and move on to the second item.
Dated December 17th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend accepting the recommendations from the Human Resources Director and recommend the following appointments to the Midland County Employee Safety Program. Rebecca Taylor as General Administration, John Schmoody as Land Use Representative, and Rhonda Cunningham as Human Services Representative, all for a second term, and Lance Dexter as Law Enforcement for a first term, all terms to expire December 31st, 2020. I further recommend waiving County Policy 101.3 to allow the following individuals to be appointed to the Board of Public Works, both for a fourth term. Larry Leach and Craig Dosen, both terms to expire December 31st, 2021. I further recommend the appointments to the Midland County Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board for a second term of Scott Stevenson and Joe McRidman, terms to expire December 31st, 2021. Also to appoint Steve Arnosky to fill Tom Adams' unexpired term with term to expire December 31st, 2020. I also recommend waiving County Policy 101.3 to allow Richard Ripke to serve a 9th term with term expiring December 31st, 2021. I further recommend the appointments to the Employee Appreciation Committee, Rob Maxwell to a second term and John Kiefer to a first term, both terms to expire December 31st, 2020. I further recommend the appointments to the Park and Rec Commission, Lynn Evans and Richard Corbett, both as first terms to expire December 31st, 2020. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, District 5, Midland County Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the adoption.
Do we have any public comment on this? Yes, Dick, please come forward. Please take the podium, state your name and address. Keep it under 3 minutes.
My name is Richard Corbett. I live at 16 Laporte Road in Porter Township, Midland County. And I've served for 3 years. And I think that we have a real great bunch of people that serve on my board. And John Schmoody does an excellent job. And I want to thank you for giving me the privilege to serve for another term. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, let's just take a voice vote on, yes, Commissioner Nelson.
Yeah, I just want to reflect,
Commissioner discussion, excuse me.
yeah.
I'll
Commissioner
fix
discuss-
it.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
Yeah.
Dick
What are we
should have been a
fixing?
second term.
Dick's a second
Dick should
term.
be a second term, not a first term.
Gotcha. Okay, so that'll be fixed.
I'll fix that.
Okay, all those in favor of Jim's letter, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, that passes, and thank you all to everybody that's going to serve on the committees and your hard work. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
That ends it for old business. We have no items of new business that I'm aware of,
At
correct?
this time, that is correct.
So we're going to move on to commissioner comments, and let's start with Commissioner Dorian today.
No comment today.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yeah, just a quick comment. Steve, I appreciate your comment earlier about the FTEs and grants. And I think sometime in the new year, I'd like to maybe just go over overall all the FTEs that we have that are secured via partially or maybe wholly by grants. And let's just document that and maybe just keep a tally, because it's a good point.
A little refresher.
A little refresher always helps. So thank you.
Good idea. Commissioner Snyder?
So it's our last meeting before the new year. I just want to say Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I hope that everybody gets some rest during this time, and thank you.
I don't think that happens with Christmas, does it?
Yeah.
I'm
Rest
starting
and
now.
refresh.
Commissioner Glazer?
I guess echoing Commissioner Snyder's remarks, it's been a great year. Some personal setbacks here for me, but I appreciate everybody, covering and not poking me in the eye too badly. So it's been a good year. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Twilliger?
Not sure anybody, well, my voice kind of comes and goes. Merry Christmas to all of you. I appreciate all of my fellow board members and the leadership they provide, and I hope my voice will return by 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Geisler?
Yes, I'd like to report the huge success of Toys for Tots of Midland County. They had over 1,200, between 1,200 and 15 toy recipients, and it went from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday, and it was very well received.
Good. Super.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say thank you to those, go ahead. Are you done?
Didn't you?
No comment.
Oh,
You started, Commissioner Dorian. Yes.
never mind.
Okay. I'd like to say thank you to those that did serve on the courthouse construction committee. That was a lot of work you guys put in and very much appreciated, and we sure have a beautiful courthouse to show for it. And also to those people that are serving on committees that we approved today, I'd like to thank them also for their community involvement and echo the commissioner's comments and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all also. And that's it for me. So we'll move on to meeting schedule and start with you, Commissioner Dorian.
I have safety committee meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and I would assume it's on the 3rd floor conference room. And welcome Mitchell as our new scribe for the Midland Daily News to the board.
Good morning.
Thank you. Commissioner Nelson.
I've got nothing.
Commissioner Snyder.
Jerry.
What date are we going up to?
We'll be going up to January 2nd.
January 2nd's a Wednesday, so we're.
Yes, we're actually having a
Yes.
meeting that day.
Okay. I have nothing. I'm not going to attend anything for the rest of the year.
Okay, Commissioner Glazer.
Tomorrow evening, I have Homer Township Board, and then that will be it.
Thank you. Commissioner Terwilliger.
Tomorrow I have CMH wraparound, and Thursday I have drug court, Lord Wellings.
Thank you. Commissioner Geisler.
Executive committee will be on January 8th, 2019.
Thank you very much. And I have nothing to announce before our next board meeting. So I would like to say one thing, though. We said we're going to take up the issue of road commission. That will be actually done on, I said the 16th, thinking we're meeting on the 2nd, but it'll be actually, we'll take that up on January 15th, the third Tuesday of the month. So with that, I would take a motion to go into,
Move to go into closed session to discuss labor negotiations
and pending litigation
and
also.
pending litigation.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, we are going to go into closed session to discuss labor negotiations and pending litigation. Thank you all. Back on, I take a motion.
So moved to go back into open session to discuss 2 items of new business.
After pending litigation and labor negotiations. Do we have support to go back into open session? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, we are now back in open session, and I think we may have some new business.
Need a motion to bring 2 new items to the floor?
A motion to bring 2 new items of business to the floor.
Do we have support on that? Support. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, we're going to take up 2 new items of new business, and would you read the first item, please?
First item dated December 18th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, as a funding agent for the court, I recommend approval of the tentative agreement between the 75th Judicial District of Midland County, Michigan, and the 75th District Court Employees Association, effective January 1st, 2019. The association has informed us that their membership has ratified this agreement. Respectfully submitted to Eric Dorian, Midland County Board of Commissioners, District Number 6.
Commissioner Dorian?
Move to approve the 3-year agreement with District Court.
Thank you. Is there any public discussion? Any commissioner discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same? Okay, that's approved, and we'll move on to the second item.
Item number 2, dated December 18th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby recommend to approve, this is regarding Selly versus Midland County. There are 2 cases. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby recommend to approve the settlement contingent upon approval by plaintiff and authorize Bridget Granston to finalize the settlement if ultimately approved by all parties. Respectfully submitted, Scott Nosen, Midland County Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner Nosen?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we approve the settlement of Selly versus Midland County 2 cases.
Do we have any public comment? Any commissioner discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same? Okay, we will approve that item of new business too. Commissioner Nosen?
Just a point of information, does that, we can do voice vote on new business? Is that
Yeah,
how that
do that,
works?
yep.
Good on any of it?
Anything,
Okay.
really.
Fair enough.
That's it for our business today.
Move to adjourn. Support.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. This meeting is adjourned until January 2nd, 9 a.m. for the Board of Commissioners to resume their duties. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, and thank you.
Thank you.
Now,